Moms play so many roles, but in order to really raise our strong boys and men, we have to be able to develop that bond with our sons. And part of doing that, we first have to realize that we're not raising just boys, we're raising men. So that's an important message I want my moms to know, is that you are shaping the future father. You're shaping a future husband. You're shaping a future leader. You're shaping a protector. But in that process, understand that you too need and deserve that support.
Welcome to The Power of Family, the podcast where we help families talk, listen, and connect across generations. I'm your host, Terry Willis. Before we begin, if this podcast has been meaningful to you, please take a moment to subscribe, share it with someone who needs it, and leave a review. It helps us reach more families with conversations that matter. Today's Mother's Day episode is about the emotional labor of raising boys, the quiet worry, the prayers, the pressure, and the love that mothers often carry while helping shape their sons into healthy, respectful, purpose-driven men. My guest today is Nijaah Howard, also known as the Single Moms Coach. She works with boys, men, and parents raising sons, helping build self-esteem, accountability, emotional awareness, and stronger family connection. Nijah, welcome to The Power of Family.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can you tell us who Nijah is and how we got here?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I want to thank you, Terry Willis, and your team for allowing me to be here today, being a part of The Power of Family. And just how important it is. You and I met at a wonderful function, and you heard me speak about the passion that I've been indulged in since 2012. I am a mother. I'm an author, a 3-time author, and bestseller also. I'm a mental health professional. I'm the founder and CEO of Young Men Strong, which is a nonprofit organization catered to the education, the engagement, and the empowerment of our young and adult men, ages 12 all the way to mature 80. I am also known as a huge community advocate and community leader who is big on making things happen and successfully making things happen.
Thank you for sharing that. I was most grateful when I heard you speak at that function in which both of us attended, and I just said I have to follow up with her. And thank you for responding back with me. That said, let us move forward here and just get to know each other and share with the audience all about Nijah. That said, for those who are meeting you for the first time, can you share a little bit about what led you to become known as the Single Moms Coach?
Absolutely. I raised my son as a solo parent, and, it was not an easy road, but a rewarding one. And I remember the challenge was not necessarily for me raising him as it was for me trying to knock down the barriers that was trying to force me into believing that I wasn't enough to raise my son into a strong man because I was a woman and because his father was not present in the home. And so I had to push past those antiquated philosophies and beliefs in order to help him become the best man that he could be so that he could become a wonderful father and husband one day. And I realized that the struggles that mothers, especially strong moms, the struggle that we have is that, when it comes to raising our sons, is that we're carrying emotional, financial challenges, loads of heavy challenges that no one sees. And many of our young men who are growing up in these solo parent households are needing that guidance, that structure. And that's a lot of weight for one person to carry. So having a support system, a community around you that is not trying to replace your role, but rather uplift your role is the reason why I felt becoming a coach for other solo parents, whether it's male or female, to understand their value and their worth in their home, even if the other parent wasn't present, through circumstance or through choice.
When I read your bio, when I saw your activities in the community, I realized how much of a pillar you are to these young men, to your community, and especially from your perspective as a solo mom. I too come up in a community where solo moms were prevalent, and I know firsthand the strength that it takes for individuals like you to move forward in raising sons. I cannot commend you enough. I cannot give you enough kudos for what you have carried on your shoulders and what you will continue to carry forward in the work that you do for the community. That said, where is your next journey here? Or what obstacles do you see that still lie in front of you? Where is the work at still to be done? And we know there's a lot of work still to be done. But what part or how can you carve a niche into that?
You know, that's such a powerful and loaded question. There's so many facets and ways that can be addressed, especially when we focus on the power of mother. You know, let me just say that men play such a powerful, significant, and important role in our households. My role as the leader in this community as I impact young and adult men is to instill in our men, instill in them how important they are to the young men that they brought into the world.
Yes.
It is so important for them to realize that how they think, how they feel, and how they show up will replicate into their sons if they don't do it properly. If you're absent, or even if you're there but you're not present, all of that impacts the next generation of young men who grow up feeling invisible, incomplete, or isolated. And in order to mend those gaps, we have mothers who are doing the best they can to fill those roles that they were not ever meant to provide solo. And so we must create community around our solo parents. And if there's anything that I would want for people to take away as they hear this today, is community is an extension of parenting. We have to bring back the village. We have to popularize the value that people who are not biologically related to you can actually bring into your personal life growing up your child. And I want to invite the community to be more empathic and more compassionate to solo parents, because I say solo parents and not just singling out single mothers, because I have plenty of single fathers in my organization. And so I don't want to dismiss those fathers who are out there understanding the plight of what it feels like to raise a human being solo. What I want to bring light to is that it doesn't matter your gender role. It's the emotional labor that a solo parent has to carry while they're raising that young lady or young man to be the next generation of success. So when I look at my solo parents, I want people to be more empathic. Understand that these single parents are carrying worry every day. They're carrying, the pressures of having to protect their children every day. They're worrying about if the information that they're passing on to their children is effective and going to lead them down a road of making the right decision. They have to encourage their sons every day. They're making sacrifices for their sons every day. And while they're doing it, there's so many solo parents that in the process of pouring so much into their children, they're often neglecting themselves in the process. So if there's anything, Terry, that I would want the listeners to take away today is be more community, be more supportive to those solo parents who are out there really working hard to make sure their sons become great men and their daughters become great women.
Wow. When you were sharing the work that solo parents have done there, I could think no more than what I've gone through in my life, all of the solo parents that I've seen and I will continue to see until I'm gone. And I think of the work that you are carrying on. I think of the work that I have stepped onto this road to contribute in my own right to what you're doing, and how we all are working for the betterment of our community, whether it's grandparents, parents, or the children themselves. You and I and others like us, we understand that we are that village, and we're not just speaking of it takes a village, but we are the pillars of that village, because villages do not operate by themselves. It works on people, making them function. And the work that you are doing, again, I say to you, God bless you for all that you're doing. And it's not for selfish reasons. It is for those who are in your community who we understand the burdens or the heavy weight in which they carry in their day-to-day survival. But you are that support system that they need. I'm working to also be that same thing, because I was once a young man myself, and I've matured unto this age where I am right now. So I too understand it. And anything I could do to help you along your journey, you can rest assured that Terry, he will be there as best he can. I want to pose this question, though. When we talk about the emotional labor of raising boys, what do you think mothers are carrying that often goes unseen or unspoken?
That's such a great question. First of all, we have to realize that mothers, are exhausted. Mothers are tired, not because they're failing, but because they're carrying so much without any kind of support. And because I was that mom, thank God, I have been able to successfully achieve my goal of raising my offspring. But I remember, and he's successful today, but I remember, I know what it feels like to raise a son while still trying not to lose yourself as a woman. And mothers need to know that they're not alone in this journey of raising their sons. But I want to invite my mothers who are listening today to learn to take constructive criticism when it comes to raising your sons. The reason why I've been very successful in this field of helping the young and the adult men find their pathway, and that's a very unique space to be in, because not every woman can dominate in that field. I utilize my lived experience, my observations, my studies in school to help shape, form, and provide insight, wisdom, and knowledge to helping young and adult men find their voice, creating a safe space for them to be their best self. And part of how I do that is by using evidence-based approaches like the strength-based approach, cognitive behavioral therapy. I utilize these methodologies to help our young and adult men realize that if they did go down a wrong road, what did you learn from that experience? And now, how are you going to pivot and do it differently or do it better? And so we have to be able to create lanes for our boys and men that gives them permission to just speak. When just recently we lost a beautiful young boy in our community, Jaden Pierre. He was 15 years old, and he was gunned down by the hands of another young Black boy, 18 years old. And when you and I met that day, I spoke about that.
Yes, you did.
And I touched on it because the Black community is crying and we're sad, and we have to humble ourselves to take constructive criticism in areas that we may need support. So I invite my moms to know that it's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay to reach out and say, I need support. Can you help me? And it's also okay for our fathers and the men that's out here. It's okay for you to say, I don't have all the answers. We've got to bridge that gap between the Black woman and the Black man so that our children can begin to see a stronger foundation of what a whole family looks like. Statistic-wise, in the United States of America, over 80% of the households are run by women. And in the Black community, it's about 70% of households run by women.
That's a high number.
It's a very high number. So we can't beat up single parents. We can't blame anybody. What we have to do is pull up our bootstraps and start working together. That means that we have to open up our minds. I was talking to a mother the other day, and she has a 19-year-old son who came to my group for the first time. And I'm watching her give him direction on how to sit down, how to talk to people. And I said to her in a very nice way, but I'm gonna keep it 100 on the power of family. Please let him be a man. At 19 years old, let him be. If he doesn't know how to greet people when he walks into a room at 19 years of age, he's got to man up. And the men that is in that environment is going to help him to realize that that is not how you show up when you walk into a room. So our young men need structure. They need consistency. They need to feel emotionally safe. They need to be held accountable. And they need to understand that this world does not move without your support to a woman. And I want to make sure that that's very clear. We got to work together. We got to bring back peace between the Black woman and the Black man. We have to bring it back.
Yes, we do, because it is a schism there, as we know, that perpetrates the wearing down of our communities. We know it all too well. You talk about helping boys and men think bigger so they can live bigger. How can a mother help her son see a greater version of himself without putting pressure on him to be perfect?
I love that. Terry, our boys, they need discipline, but not more than they need direction. And I want to invite, my moms out there who are raising their sons to understand that if your son doesn't talk, if he doesn't speak much, more than likely it's because he feels like he's being lectured or constantly corrected. So I want to invite my single moms out there, listen to your son. Don't just be so quick to lecture. So when it comes to thinking bigger and being better, it's being able to create that space that gives our young and adult men time to listen to them, time to talk, collect their thought process, let them get it out. Let them say what it is they need to say. Understand where they're coming from. Meet them where they are, and then be able to provide some kind of direction. But we take that away from them so fast because we're so busy trying to correct them or, speak for them. Allow men and young men to speak for themselves and then be willing to provide direction.
Great. For mothers raising sons solo, as you're speaking of, what are some of the unique pressures they face, and how can they avoid feeling like they have to be everything to their sons and for their sons?
Yeah. In my book, Raising John's Boy, I talk about some of the steps a mother must take in order to still feel like a woman and to really understand that you cannot pour healthy energy and expect to raise a healthy man when you have nothing to offer. So I always invite my single parents to, take those daily walks, have some alone time, be okay with silence, be okay with turn your phone completely off and removing yourself from that space for a little while. Be okay with going in a shower and pouring into yourself. Start to develop a social group. Be a part of a group that's going to allow you to speak and share your experiences. We have to realize that as mothers, in order for us to continue being our best selves and giving our best, we have to learn how to pour best into us. being selfish is taking more than what you need, but practicing self-care is taking what you need.
Thank you for that. It carries a lot of weight. How can mothers teach boys things like respect, accountability, emotional awareness, and purpose in ways that feel loving instead of controlling?
Moms play so many roles, but in order to really raise our strong boys and men, Terry, we have to be able to develop that bond with our sons. And part of doing that, we first have to realize that we're not raising just boys, we're raising men. So that's an important message I want my moms to know, is that you are shaping the future father. You're shaping a future husband. You're shaping a future leader. You're shaping a protector. But in that process, understand that you too need and deserve that support. So in order to help your son become that well-rounded man that you yourself know is out there and that you deserve to have, then start to invite community to help strengthen the structure of your son. Having a positive male community around your son will give them the armor and the strength to understand what healthy manhood looks like. So many people, Terry, say to me things like, I remember years ago, people are a lot more aware now because, I've hit the platform a lot, and then there's a lot of other people out there who are now starting to wake up. But the reality is that there used to be a saying that men used to live by, which is only a man can raise a man. But when we say that statement, we're really hindering him, because if he wakes up every morning and doesn't see a man, he sees his mother, then what impact does that have on his psyche? If only a man can turn me into a man, but every morning I wake up and see my mother, what am I saying to that young man? So we have to be very cognizant and very careful what we say and how we say it to our sons. We cannot exclude, diminish, or devalue the power of a woman when she's the one that's there every day that sees him and when he wakes up.
Exactly. I think of what commercials, TV do to us daily. And we know that what our children watch will impact their lives in the course of actions in which they take on a daily role. So the very essence of what you're saying, I can relate that to, again, what they see every day in their lives. If they see images, if these images are constantly not in line with what their upbringing should be, then their lives are going to be in trouble. Because as we know, there are a lot of vices out here in the streets that are lurking around the corner, just waiting on them to make that wrong turn. And we don't want to see them go that way. It's like the incident that you described about the young man being shot by another young black man. Those incidents are still happening too often in our communities. Yeah. It's happening too often because we as adults, we know how they get there to that point. But yet that village is not, to me, living up to its part and lessening. And that's a hurting situation because that hurts the community individually, on a micro level, and on a macro level.
Absolutely. And let me just say, Terry, it's part of the community not showing up, but it's also, we have to balance it out. There's so many sources out there. There's so much information out there now today. We have to invite our parents to want to come to that information.
Yes.
You've gotta come to it. You gotta say, I need this, and go to it, because it's there. It's out there. Just yesterday, I was taking the bus, and I seen one of the young men was getting off the bus, and while he's getting off the bus, he's saying, "Excuse me," and pushing me at the exact same time. So I had to stop him. And I said, "Sweetheart, that's not how you say excuse me. the way that you do it is you say, excuse me, and then you wait for the individual to move out the way. And then that gives you clearance to move. But you don't put your hand on someone and say, excuse me, while you're moving them back. That's not how it's done. And I think we as parents, we've got to really teach, but we have to also not lose sight of the fact that there's a lot of parents out here now who are first and second generations, and they have children. If they don't understand the culture of America and how we do things here, then there's a whole lot of learning that we still have to teach.
No doubt. No doubt. But
so we can't pretend like we don't know that there's a new influx of new children coming into this world and new families who are completely oblivious to what it looks like to be a strong parent, what it looks like to be a stable man, what it looks like to be a parent who can balance. And this is not to point blame at a father or a mother. No. This is to bring reality to the fact that we have work to do. And there are people that we can't assume that because they're adults and because they walk the same pathway you do, that they understand the rights and the wrongs of how things are done. And that's why our role, Terry, and what we do to help uplift the community is so important, because the education can't stop. The information cannot linger. We have to keep pouring. We have to keep doing it, because there are individuals out here who look like adults, but they still have very young mindsets because they don't know. So we have to perform like people don't know and still pour out the information. So, we have to realize that, many of our boys, they don't just need discipline. They need to be redirected. They need guidance, they need structure, and we have to not pretend like, my kid has it all, or I'm a parent and I got all the answers. That's not how it works. Everybody plays a part. As a parent, you have to humble yourself and say, hey, I'm reaching out for support because I don't have all the answers. As a father, you have to say, I'm here, but I don't know how to be because my father never taught me. So can you show me? And as children, we have to say, listen, when we see our young boys carrying out in anger is a very healthy emotion. But what that really oftentimes in young men, what that often means is there's a hidden undergird feeling of rejection or fear or, feeling isolated and alone. And so we have to realize that this anger, where is it coming from? And be able to identify that. And if you as a parent don't know how to identify that or don't know where to go, reach out to your folks. I know I'm here with Young Men Strong. There's other organizations out here that are doing the work. Reach out for support. Stop thinking that you have all the answers.
Because we don't.
What
role does communication play in the mother-son relationship, especially when a boy starts becoming more quiet, distant, and guarded?
I tell you, communication is everything. When it comes to really building that bond between your son, I'm going to say it again. If you are a mother, listen more than lecture. If you want to build that effective communication, listen to him. You can guide his conversation, but don't steal his voice. The other thing I would say is, in order to build that bond and really build that communication, to really build that trust, start to create routines and activities that only you and him do. It could be something, with young men, as long as it's an activity and it's something that's consistent, that's how you really start to strengthen their trust for you. You start to develop that sense of feeling safe, making them feel safe that they could be around you. Let me also say to my moms out there is, in order to build communication, you can correct their behavior, not their identity. And what I mean by that is, if they do something wrong, you can provide a consequence, but don't let that consequence emasculate who they are as a young man growing up, because he reminds you of the father that maybe disappointed you.
Did you hit that Boy, did you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
That great divider.
That great divider.
That great divider. Yeah.
That great divider. Yeah.
Yeah. Your message says, when we strengthen our boys and men, we stabilize our girls and women. What does that mean to you, especially in the context of family healing and legacy?
So let me just say this. Young men are often taught to suppress their emotions before they even understand them. Many mothers are carrying that emotional load silently while raising their sons as best that they can. When we strengthen our young men and our adult men, we are stabilizing our families, our relationships, and our entire community. It's not just about calling a man a king without teaching him the steps to becoming one. You have to give him substance to earn his crown. In order to understand manhood, he has to understand what is under his hood. And part of that is his family, his work, his spirituality, his community, and owning himself. So when we strengthen our boys and our men, we stabilize our girls and our women. When a man pours life into a woman will move mountains for that man. We still have to work together in order to win this thing.
As we honor Mother's Day, what encouragement would you give to the mother who loves her son so deeply, but sometimes feels tired, unsupported, or unsure if she is doing enough?
Mama, you are incredible. You are definitely seen. And I want you to understand that you are not wrong. And every mistake that you made is okay because we're all made to heal. Our boys do not need perfection. All they need is for you to be present. They need you to be structured and they need emotional safety. And so if there's anything I would like to say to my moms out there for Mother's Day, is 3 simple words. You are enough. You are enough.
And to that, I add, as a mother, thank you for raising your son to be the man that he is. And I thank you for all the times that, even though it's Mother's Day, all the times that you had to play the role of father as well. So I carry that into the coming, however far it is from Father's Day here. Father's Day to you too.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And is there any nuggets or tools that you could pass on to our listeners here right now?
You know, there's something I wanted to read.
Please do.
There's a little chapter in Raising John's Boy that says, celebrate yourself. And I just want to read it really small. It says, you are doing it, girl. Your son is a lovely reflection of you. So when he shines, say quietly to yourself, God, thank you. When you invest the time and do the work, it will show. Take it from me. You will both glow and everyone will genuinely love you and wish you well. You don't have to spend a dime to celebrate yourself. You can say this randomly throughout the day in front of a mirror or post it around the house. But you have to affirm your character. Speak to your spirit. Women are beautiful. You are a woman. Insert your name before each of the following affirmations. So to all the women out there who are listening for Mother's Day, put your name in front of these affirmations that I read. I'm going to use Haina. Haina, thank you for being kind when no one else is watching. Haina, I'm so proud of me for taking myself to the spa. Haina, I am the best. I am successfully juggling it all. Haina, my son looks great, and that's because of me. Haina, look at that pretty smile, beautiful hair, and healthy body. Haina, you are worthy of a day off, and today is the day. Haina, my soul feels like listening to my favorite music. Haina, I am treating you out to dinner tonight. Everything on the best in the menu. These are just great ways to tell yourself, I love you, I see you, and you matter. So I just wanted to share that because oftentimes today in this world, Terry, we always think that in order to celebrate ourselves, we have to go get our nails done, our hair done, go get, our makeup done, get new clothes. I just want to say that you don't have to spend a dime to pour into yourself and to glow yourself up. All you have to do is tell yourself how much you matter. Start to see what's around you and know that you did that. You accomplished that, and give yourself some praise. The Lord says that when the praises go up, the blessings come down. And because He lives within all of us, it's important that you lift Him up. So if He lives in you, then you have to lift you up. So lift yourself up so that your blessings can pour all over you.
Wonderfully, beautifully spoken. Beautiful words, wonderful words of life. Thank you for all in which you've shared here today. Thank you for the work you've done. Thank you for the work you will continuously do. And where there is a will, there's a way. I would like to extend whatever I can into helping you do that work, because the men and boys in your community need it. And may you spread that beyond your community, across this state and across this nation. If someone wants to reach out to you, please tell them how and where and what and when.
If you would like to reach out to me, please feel free to call me. The office line is 929-260-4970. Again, that's 929-260-4970. If that's filled up, you can always email my office at youngmenstrong@gmail.com or go to youngmenstrong.org. But however, I'm here, and it's all about building community around our sons. We just built, I just want to make this really small statement for those who don't know. After 13 years, I started Young Men Strong because of the murder of Trayvon Martin. And after 13 years, I finally found a forever home. Right now, we're on Springfield Boulevard in Queens, New York, and we are definitely open for business. We just opened up our after school program for young boys and men ages 12 to 17, where we're offering foreign language skills, technology, and also self-defense classes in boxing. And then we have the Circle of Brothers Peer Support Group that happens Tuesdays and Thursday evenings from 7 to 9 p.m. Tuesday nights we'll be discussing leadership. And on Thursdays, it's a circle of brothers where they're disclosing whatever they're going through. And we help to dispel that. And that is led by our mental health clinician and facilitator, Mr. Don Sinkfield. So it's a wonderful community for young and adult men. And we are the first of its kind. And I hope that we can continue to build a wonderful relationship with all the young boys and men in our community and beyond.
Thank you. And if I could be of any help, of any service, please let me know.
Thank you, Terry.
Nijah, thank you for being here on The Power of Family.
Thank you for having me.
To every mother listening, I hope this conversation reminds you that what you carry matters, even when it goes unseen. Your love, your presence, and your willingness to keep showing up can make a lasting difference in your son's life. If this episode encouraged you, please subscribe to The Power of Family, share it with another parent, and leave a review. Your support helps us continue creating conversations around family, healing, communication, and legacy. I'm Terry Willis. Thank you for listening, and until next time, keep talking, keep listening, and keep connecting.